Hello friends. Welcome back with a new informative video. Before starting with our video, you are requested to please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to remain in touch with our latest upcoming videos. In this video we will discuss all the aspects of a Brexit deal. Let's start. What is Brexit? A portmanteau of the words Britain and exit. Brexit is shorthand for Britain's split from the European Union, changing its relationship to the bloc on trade, security and migration. Britain has been debating the pros and cons of membership in a European community of nations almost from the moment the idea was broached. It held its first referendum on membership in what was then called the European Economic Community in 1975, less than 3 years after it joined, when 67% of voters supported staying in the bloc. In 2013, Prime Minister David Cameron promised a national referendum on European Union membership with the idea of settling the question once and for all. The options it offered were broad and vague: remain or leave, and Mr. Cameron was convinced that remain would win handily. Britons voted on June 23, 2016, as a refugee crisis made migration a subject of political rage across Europe and amid accusations that the Leave campaign had relied on lies and broken election laws. An ill-defined Brexit 52% of the vote. Not only did that not settle the debate, but it also saved for another day the tangled question of what should come next. After more than 3 years of debate and negotiation, that remains unanswered. How did the referendum vote break down? Most voters in England and Wales supported Brexit, particularly in rural areas and smaller cities. That overcame majority support for remaining in the European Union among voters in London, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Young people overwhelmingly voted against leaving, while older voters supported it. Why is it such a big deal? Europe is Britain's most important export market and its biggest source of foreign investment, and membership in the bloc has helped London cement its position as a global financial centre. An announcement, or at least a threat, from a major business to leave Britain because of Brexit is a regular occurrence. The list of companies that are thinking about relocating includes Airbus, which employs 14,000 people and supports more than 100,000 other jobs. The government has projected that in 15 years, the country's economy will be 4% to 9% smaller under Brexit than it would inside the bloc, depending on how it leaves. Mrs. May had promised that Brexit would end free movement, the right of people from elsewhere in Europe to live and work in Britain, and vice versa. That was a triumph for some working-class people who see immigration as a threat to their jobs, but dispiriting for young Britons hoping to study or work abroad. How did we end up with a January 31st deadline? Just about the only clear decision Parliament has made on Brexit since the 2016 referendum was to give formal notice in 2017 to quit, under Article 50 of the European Union's Lisbon Treaty, a legal process setting it on a 2-year path to departure. That set March 29, 2019, as the formal divorce date. When it became clear that Parliament would not accept Mrs. May's deal by then, the European Union agreed to push the precipice back to April 12. But the new deadline did not yield any more agreement in London, forcing Mrs. May to plead, again, for more time. European leaders insisted on a longer delay this time, and set October 31 as the date. Mr. Johnson took office in July, and vowed to take Britain out of the bloc by October 31, with or without a deal. But opposition lawmakers and rebels in his own party seized control of the Brexit process, and moved to block a no-deal Brexit and the Prime Minister's efforts to hasten an exit. That in turn forced Mr. Johnson to seek an extension, something he said he would rather be dead in a ditch than do. European leaders agreed to extend the deadline by 3 months, to January 31, as Britain considers its options: some version of Mr. Johnson's deal, an election or a second referendum. On Tuesday, lawmakers voted to hold a general election on December 12. The fantasy that Brexit would be easy had crumbled, and lawmakers who made lofty promises to their constituents are having to face hard reality.